Hi guys, my name is Steve Thompson. I wanted to come up with a super visual bill switch. Really easy to do. Uses any bills, any size, and you can show both sides. So this is an overview of the method. We're going to go into a lot of detail later on, but for now, just give you a sense of what's going on here. There's a normal €10 note, and then on the back I've stuck a 20. It's folded into quarters, which gives us the speed of the change. And then there's an extra piece of a 10 stuck on the outside of that. So I'll just show you that from a couple of different angles. Okay. And what this means is that when we want to activate the change, hold it like this, which opens up the V shape here. Scissors grips come in, and to make the change happen, I'm unfolding the 20 and folding the 10, and then I'm pushing further, which gives us this kind of wedge, and that's why you see so much blue straight away. I reach in here and unfold it the rest of the way. Then to do the second change, you're doing the same thing, but in reverse. So I'll go through that again. You're folding the 20 closed, closing it up, opening the 10 and pushing that little bit further, and that's what gets you to there. We'll talk about the angles, and we'll talk about how to build the bill in a minute. So let's go through how to build one of these gimmicks. I'm going to start off by saying that, well, for explanation purposes, I'm going to use a piece of white paper and a dollar bill because it just creates the maximum amount of contrast. I think it'll be the easiest way to learn. But you can use any bills and they can be different sizes, which I think really adds to the quality of the change. So let's start with a piece of white paper. We're going to fold it just off center like this. It doesn't really matter exactly how much, but you want to give yourself a lip. It just makes the handling a lot easier. So I'm going to fold that right down there and then give it a good crease and then fold it across its center the other way. Okay. So there we go. That's the first bit of prep done. This creates a rectangle of a very particular size. Now, we don't need to know what that size is. We just need to match it with the other bill. So in this case, the $1 bill. So I'm going to start by gluing the white piece of paper to our dollar bill. So just make sure it lines up with those outer two edges really well and push it down. Okay. Makes sense? Right. Next step, so we're now going to fold the dollar to match this piece of white paper exactly. So rather than trying to take measurements, you just make the first thing whatever size it comes out at, and then everything matches that just by folding it to the same place. So I'm going to crease the dollar across that way, and I'm going to crease it in the other direction as well. You do need to give really good creases to keep it aligned, but that's it. It's very simple. Surprisingly, we're nearly there. We can now do the change, but only in one direction, and the handling won't be great yet. Okay. So in order so that we can show both sides, we need to take another piece of dollar and stick it to cover up the white paper here. So I'm going to cut this rectangle out and put it on this. What I found is that the easiest way of doing this is to fold up the dollar until you make this rectangle. Ooh. And glue directly onto it and then cut it afterwards rather than trying to cut it before. A little bit too much glue on that, so. line this up again, same corner, line it up, stick it on. So it's nice and quick to build because there's no measuring, you're just matching whatever particular size that you happen to create with the first folds. Okay, now with it face down, you've got these edges to follow, which makes the cutting very, very accurate. So I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to cut along. And obviously, you can't be going around cutting up a lot of money, so do keep the pieces, and if you stick them back together, they become legal tender again. Not a problem. So I'm just using the white paper as a guide and following along to make the cut. And that creates a perfect match-up of the lines or the edges, so you don't end up with any frayed edges or edges sticking out. And that way you end up with something that you can show on both sides and you can perform the illusion with, or the trick with. Now what you're going to find is that when you do this, there's just something peculiar about paper, is that when you fold it, you get these edges. So if I turn that around, you'll see that again. Even though the folds are straight, when I do this, it pushes that edge just slightly up. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut off any edges like that, effectively tapering the bill. So this end of the bill will become tapered down this way, and the same with the white. It'll be the single end will be tapered down this way as well. And by the time you've tapered all those edges, you're very unlikely to have anything sticking out. If you do, you just trim it off again with the scissors, very, very slight modifications, and you'll end up with something that's like this. You get no overlapping edges at all because I've trimmed in here, and the same with the white. So, hope that all makes sense. So this is the gimmick we've just made. We've got our dollar here face down on the table, then we've got our white piece of paper stuck to the back of it. It unfolds like that, and we've got our extra piece of dollar just to cover it up so that we can hide it behind. So on this side, it's completely copacetic. It looks perfectly like a dollar. On this side, while it's very good, the edges will never match up absolutely perfectly, but they can be very close. One small note is that not all bills are printed exactly the same, even $1 bills, even euro notes. The actual alignment can be a little bit different. So when you're selecting your bills to use for the gimmick, try and find two bills that are the alignment of which is very, very similar. Having said that, the audience is only ever going to get a kind of a slow flash of this, so you know it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to see anything. By creasing down really hard, you get nice tight edges, and it reduces the amount of shadow that you'll see on these edges as well. Okay guys, so we're going to run through the actual handling of how to make the changes occur. I tend to start off with the bill facing the audience. I like to flash it with the, shall we say, the gimmicked side towards them as much as possible before I draw my attention to the bill, because this is really showing them the side of the bill, but they're not going to pay too much attention. Then as I draw my attention to it, I turn it around so that they're seeing the ungimmicked side, and they can look at that till they're blue in the face. They're not going to be able to see anything. Now by pinching it with the first finger and thumb, what this allows the gimmick to do is from this angle you'll see that it's opening up the wedge at the back. And now what that means is that as my fingers come in, I can put my second finger of the left hand into the wedge. My first finger closes the door of the bill, as it were, right? And then what I'm doing is I'm pushing upwards with my second finger into that wedge, which is opening out the paper, the white paper, and then I'm using the second finger of my right hand to close that. My first finger has to get out of the way, okay? And that's what enables the bill to go from dollar to white, okay? So just go through that again. You're starting off here, you come in like this, you push up, transfer, the thumb and the second finger create pressure, you keep pushing upwards with the second finger, that's the key, that's what creates the splay, which I think is what is so important about what makes the visual impact of the change. Keep pushing, and then the right hand comes in, first finger and thumb, into this little crease here, holds on there, turns like this, and you'll see the change. What's important about this moment is that all of the bad edges, as it were, are now facing into my hand, and therefore it's very difficult for the audience to see. Okay? If you continue rotating the bill around like this, you're now in a position, you can't show the back of it, but you can fold it to show this back of it. So it's quite compelling. And you're now in a position to do the change again, but now in reverse. So second finger comes into the wedge, first finger closes the door, thumb on the back, push up with the second finger, push up with the second finger, keep pushing, and you get the change back again. Again, first finger and thumb go into this little spot here, open it out. Again, look where all the bad edges are facing. They're facing right into the hand, and you're able to show it very cleanly. You can now, by pinching it on the other side, rotate the bill around, show the back, and then show the front again. Hope that's clear. Guys, so there is an alternative handling, which is more for when people are all around you. So if you're doing something like extreme burn, you can actually incorporate this into extreme burn. And it's really when people are looking down on the change. Normally I would do the change at chest height, which is obviously better for more people to see. But if people are really tight on you, this is the way to go. So let's have a look at how that's working. So I'm going to start with the bill held like this. So what I have is I have it clipped like that. So it really can't go anywhere. And now when I close the 20, the thumb, the left thumb, pushes that over and opens the 10, and the right thumb opens the 10, like that. So I'll just go through that again. Clipped here, start like this. Pull the 20 towards yourself, push it over with the left thumb, open it with the right thumb, and you're good. And now to complete the change to show the other side, this is very weird handling from your point of view, but it looks very natural from theirs. So you reach underneath the bill, grab it with your thumb and first finger, turn it over, and then keep turning it over. It's a little bit like a paddle move where you're showing both sides, but you're really showing the same side twice. And then reverse that and you're back to where you started. Okay guys, so I just wanted to make one note on the angles. I've thought about this an awful lot, and I do this all the time. So the angles are actually really solid, but it takes a little bit of thought from your perspective and a little bit of practice in front of a mirror to really learn where you have to be tilting the bill at any given time to make sure that you're 100% safe. So for example, if I hold the bill straight onto you, it's probably okay. But if I start to rotate it like this, at a certain point, you're going to start to see a telltale edge down the bottom, because there is more paper here than we're admitting. Okay, so all I need to do, it's like a wedge. If it was an illusion base, it would be a wedge base, and all I have to do is just tilt the bill very slightly in this way, so that it's on this plane, to hide that double edge. It's very simple, but that double edge will move as the trick continues. So as I do the change, that double edge moves to the top now, at which point I need to rotate the bill back slightly in order to make 100% sure that it's hidden. Then when I come in here, I can rotate it around. Now the double edges are pointing into my hand, which is perfectly safe. The other double edges are facing the ground, so that's perfectly safe. As I rotate it around, still facing the ground and my hand, perfectly fine. Now I do the change. The double edges are going to move to the top, so I'm going to tilt the bill very slightly backwards. I'm exaggerating here for explanation purposes. So now it's hidden at the top, and now I'm going to rotate it around. It's into my hand and facing the floor. So at all times in the routine, it's actually perfectly safe. But when you perform this for the first time on yourself, you might be like, oh, I'm getting glimpses and flashes. So you just need to have a little bit of play around with it in front of the mirror, secure those in your mind, make yourself kind of get your head around it, as it were, and I think it's pretty straightforward, and hope you have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoy it. You can do this with so many different things: vouchers, receipts, lottery tickets. It's really strong, obviously, as a kind of Instagram, YouTube magic trick, but I think that if with a little bit of thought and a little bit of work, you can definitely build it into things like extreme burn or into larger routines. I've really enjoyed performing it, I really enjoyed coming up with it, and I hope you enjoy playing around with it. Thanks very much.